Hello everyone, Mugiwawa here, still starting my indie game dev journey, and today we are going to talk about the deck building in Infinite Muneris. So before we dive into it, I just want to remind everyone that what I'm showing today is the work I've been doing for the first months on my prototype. All the UI and the interface are really rough. They're just functional for me to be able to test. Nothing is definitive, of course. And also, what I'm sharing today is where I am with the deck building right now, what are the mechanics I kind of like, but there is still stuff into testing, and so everything is still subject to change based on what I think is better for the game. Only thing that is set in stone is the core pillar I explained in the previous video about explaining the mechanics and the direction of the game, but anything else can always be subject to change. And I'm doing all this process of sharing very early prototype because I want to really be able to share and show these processes of making a video game from scratch, from the beginning, and also to document a little bit all this process and be able to have it for myself later on when I want to see it, and also to be able to share all this journey with all of you guys. So let's dive into the deck building of Infinite Muneris. So like I said, the interface is pretty simple, nothing fancy or spectacular here, but it does the job for now. So at the top of the screen, we can see that we have 0 out of 12. It's basically the deck building work with a point system. So you have, at least for PvP part, up to 12 points to build your team. Then we have 6 big slots, and those are the slots so you can choose your agent. Then we have 2 medium-sized slots. This is the slot about the obstacles. And then we have 3 slots here that are slots for the perks. We're going to go into detail about those. The only thing I want to say is this is the deck building I envision for the PvP, but I really want the deck building for the solo part to be very similar. And so for the agent part, it will be exactly the same. With the point system and the agent part, it will be exactly the same. It's just the number of points that could vary during the campaign. But for the obstacle and the perks, it's still something I need to go into more detail into the solo mode to see if it really fits there or if it's not useful, because you already will have environment and that type of stuff, and maybe some additional surprise, and so the perks are not that needed. So, but really the goal is you don't have to learn 2 games. It's only 1 game. It's 2 games in 1 package. So regarding the agents, you can click and then you can see that you have access to 12 agents. 12 is the amount of agents I plan to have for the release of the game. And I want each agent to have their own unique strengths and weakness. This is why I go for 12, because it's a reasonable amount for someone that is alone working on a project. And also I really don't want to have any overlap. I really want each agent to be really unique, have their own story, their own strengths and own weaknesses. You can pick whichever agent you want, but each agent can only be picked once. Here I pick Axton. If I want to pick a second agent, I can't pick Axton again. Each agent is unique. When you pick an agent, you can see that the cost has changed. And so basically, the number of points you have will determine the amount of agents you can have on your team. Only agent costs points, obstacles and perks doesn't cost anything, you can just fill the slot. And the points of agent, they're all the same. The only thing that will determine the cost of an agent is its level. So here we have an accent that is level 1, and any other agent level 1, for instance if I pick binary, it will cost 2. I have 2 agents level 1, so 4 points. If it's level 2, it costs actually 3 points with the level 2 and 4 points as the level 3. So you can have different type of team. So you can have like 3 level 3 agent that will cost like 12 points, or you can have like 6 level 1 agent that would also cost 12 points. So you have like different type of team possibility there. Now, if we look a little bit more about what are on the agent, so on the agent you have like the level choice, as we have seen. You have the health, that is the amount of hit point the agent has when he's inside combat. You have the mobility, here Axon has 2, agent can go from 2 to 4 mobility. And you have the tactic. So the tactic is for now just a number to compute the initiative of the team. The team with the highest tactic play first. I don't know if it will stay into the final game, but for now it's how it is. And then we can see that you have the selected passive, the 3 actives, and the ultim. So for the people that have watched the video about the mechanics of a game, if you remember, you have like 1 passive, 3 active, and 1 ultim while you're fighting. But actually, you have to select those. If you look at the right part of the screen, basically there is an armory for this agent, and you have like 3 passive overall, 9 active, and 3 ultim. And so you have to choose which of those 3 passive you're going to bring into the fight, and which of those like 3 actives you're going to bring into the fight too. And same thing for the ultimate. And so basically like each agent, okay, you only have 12 agents, but each agent have a lot of different builds that you can do. 12 agent with 3 level per agent, and multiple of different build inside the same agent, because you have different passive, different ultim, and different active. And that's basically it for the basic principle of the agent deck building in Infinite Muneris. And you basically can try to do your own team with a lot of variation and trying to build the best synergistic team possible. So regarding the obstacles, that's the 2 medium-sized slot here, and you have different type of obstacles. So the idea behind the obstacles is I was willing to have like that the full game is deterministic. That's one of the core pillar of Infinite Muneris. But at the same time, I was feeling that playing all the time on the same map can become a bit tiring. One of the idea was, well, why not letting the players design their own battlefield? So this is where like the obstacle came, and the idea is that you can pick different obstacles that have different property. So you have, for instance, like a tall crate that is just like, you basically have a cell on the board that can't be walked on and that will block line of sight. But you can also have wall, like for instance we have the fog wall. So the fog wall is just a wall on the battlefield that just block line of sight but not movement. And so based on your team, you will be able to choose different type of obstacles. And then at the beginning of the game, you just place the obstacle on the field, and your opponent also will place obstacles. And so I really do believe that this will allow for like good strategical depth, because you're kind of building the field based on what you're trying to accomplish with your team. And also it will like have every single match will be on different battlefield, because you have your say but your opponent too, so it's most likely that you will encounter a lot of different battlefield, and I think that's very interesting. All those obstacles for now are mostly testing. That's something pretty new into my mind, so I'm not sure if we will have exactly this format at the end, if it's only like 1 cell obstacles, if they're all balanced with each other, if we have like different things. So it's possible that in the future it will evolve, but I really like this idea of being able to change the battlefield, that the player has the ability to change the battlefield. And now we're getting to the last part of building a team into Infinite Muneris, and it's about selecting your perks. So for those that, as a reminder, the perks in Infinite Muneris are basically one use superpowers that can have very, very strong impact on the game, and you can only use one of them per turn. And most of the time, like, it really depends on, like, you can really like shift the battle. Because for instance, you have a perk that allow one of your agent to become invulnerable. They can't take any more damage. So for instance, like it was the last turn of the game, your opponent was going to kill this unit to gain the victory points and win the game. And then like, nope, I have invulnerability and you can't do that. So that add like an additional layer of surprise, and really there is like this whole battle trying to force your opponent to use their perks, so there is like no surprise for the end of the game, and that's very interesting. And basically like you have 9 perks similar to the actives of the agent. You need to select 3 of those and you will have to play with that. It's pretty simple. You have different things, like sprint is good when you want to have like your better positioning. Chip win is also an interesting way, because like basically you can imagine like team that is just about not dying, and then you just use chip win on the last turn and you gain a win. And you have like, of course, like the classical debuff or cleans. If for instance like someone is playing a character with a lot of armor and strength, you can just debuff all of that and kind of reset the danger there. And so I kind of lied when I say it was like the last thing, because I just have one last bit for you guys, and it is that I said as one of the things I really want with Infinite Muneris is to reward good deck buildings and people that have like great deck building skill. And in a certain way, I feel like there is enough depth in the deck building itself to really let people shine. But there is one thing that I'm always like not very happy with when it comes to those games, is like the deck builder kind of find the great decks, the great army composition, all of that, and then people can just like copy paste that, and then it's just a matter of like executing the team better. And the deck building aspect is already done. Like, okay, I find a good team, and then you can just like keep trying to find a new good team, but it's very tiring, and I feel like it doesn't really reward the people that are great at deck building. And so like the particularity of Infinite Muneris is that all the perks that we have seen here, all the obstacles and all the powers here can be changed before the game starts. This is what I want to have in the game, is when you go into PvP mode and you see basically at the beginning the enemy, the agent composition of the enemy team you are going to face. So for instance, I will say, oh, okay, guys, Axton level 3, Aggression level 1, a Kane level 2, a Lila level 2. You get this information that you are going to face that, and now you can change any powers, passive, ultimate actives, any obstacles or any perks to adapt to what you imagine your opponent is going to do. Because you only have the information about Axton that is level 3, but Axton can be built in many different ways. And so like there is like this moment like before each game when the deck building will have an impact. Of course you come with like a basic idea of what your team is going to do, but then you can adapt this idea to strengthen your matchup against what you are going to face. And so that rewards people that have good knowledge of the different agents in the game, and also good knowledge of what type of build can be made, and also good knowledge on how to adapt your own build to face this matchup. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this discovery of the deck building of Infinite Muneris. Once again, if you're interested by the project or even to follow the processes of this indie game dev journey with me, feel free to put a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week for the next video. Thank you all.